Those gear shifts are quick. Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's video we're going over a 2020 Mercedes Benz A220. So this car is actually being provided to me by one of my buddies. His AMG is in the shop, which most Mercedes AMGs tend to be in the shop on a regular basis. So he has this car loaned out to him, and he's gracious enough to let me review it. So you know who you are. Thank you for lending me the car. But as always, we're gonna do a quick walk around on it, and then we'll take it out and see how it drives. Under the hood of the A220, we have a turbocharged 2-liter 4-cylinder that goes through a 7-speed dual-clutch automatic transmission. Fuel economy is 24 around town and then 34 on the highway, with power outputs being 188 horsepower and then 221 pound-feet of torque, and a 0 to 60 time of actually about 6 seconds. Let's go over the front end on the A220, and I just have the car started up so you guys can actually see what the lights look like. Now the hood is just like completely flat. There's not a lot going on. Obviously you do have those 2 body lines on the side, but super flat. And then you do get full LED lights with the LED accent lights, and I think it's a really nice look in general. Now the Mercedes logo does double as a sensor on the front end, and then notice how you actually have fake venting right there, but at least it looks cool. And then the rest of it is actually functional and real, and well, there is the front end on the A220. Now for the tire and rim setup, you've got 225mm tires in the front and in the rear as well. And then I like actually the brake setup. You guys can see the rotors are pretty large compared to the rim. So even on like a smaller car like this, they still give you pretty large brake rotors. And you got the little Mercedes Benz brake pad on there as well. And then, well, here is your full side angle on the A220, and I feel like it's just good looking. Now here's the key fob for the A220. There's actually nothing on the back. That little tab pulls out the spare key. Now you've got the Mercedes logo there on the front, and then you've got the lock and unlock there, and then the trunk release. So you just have to hold that, and then that's actually what will unlock the trunk itself, but you have to do the rest of the work yourself. You basically just have to come up, pick it up. Easy enough to just get that up. Now in terms of cargo space back here, I feel like for how small this car is, it's actually a decent amount in the back. And then underneath here, notice that you actually can use this as some extra storage if you'd like, and then you got like your tool bag, all that kind of stuff. And now finishing things up in the rear here, obviously you got all of your regular badging in the back. I really like the taillights on the A220. It's kind of like a cool like Y-shaped taillight, but it is 2 separate units. And they do give you a little rear diffuser there at the bottom. But I mean, yeah, that's pretty much everything for the rear. Oh, forgot to mention, you get a little spoiler at the top that is body painted. Coming to the rear, they actually have keyless entry for the rear, which I think is pretty interesting, especially at a smaller size car like this. But you actually do get stitching here at the top, and then down below you have kind of like all the soft touch. And then here are the seats. So obviously it's a Mercedes, so it is going to come with full leather seats. And well, for the sake of the video, I'm gonna have to pop back here, even though it's gonna be kind of cramped because the A220 is a smaller size car. So you do get vents here in the rear. I'm 5'11", and well, feet, that's kind of a cramped situation. In terms of headroom, that's not nearly as bad. And it looks like I do get a little kind of like armrest thing. And if we press that, boom, you got over-engineered cup holders. Pretty neat. Oh, I was about to pop out of the back, but then I noticed this. So you actually get this little storage thing right there. And getting out, it's actually pretty simple, and that's all for the back. Now coming to the front, you do get that same keyless entry, and it will power fold in the front mirrors when you do that function. Now it also does have blind spot monitoring for the front. Looking at the door panel here at the front, you notice that this is pretty similar to what most other Mercedes have. So you actually have the heated seat control there on the door panel, all the seat adjustments. Every single Mercedes does that. You do get memory seats with this. The controls to control the mirrors, like the power fold function, and then the little trunk release right there. Now here are the seats at the front, and again, they've got this like nice bolstering to them. They actually have a pretty nice aesthetic to them in general. And yes, AMG floor mats. But you've got the little pedal layout, which I think the pedals actually look pretty good in this car. And I just want to show you guys the back of the paddles before we fully pop in. Now to start with the A220, it's just a push button, which you're going to expect out of a car at this price point. Sorry about that. The radio pops on even if you turn the volume all the way off. No matter what, every single time you turn the car on, it turns the radio on in a certain volume, so that's kind of interesting. But here is the steering wheel in the A220. Now they have like smoother leather at the top and then grippier in the center, and apparently this is like the AMG type steering wheel. It's part of a package. You guys will see all that on the Windows sticker. But you've got the controls. This is actually for the infotainment system, and then the controls on this side, those are for the little center screen right there. So you have like the 2 separate screens, but then they're kind of like one screen, so like they're connected, but then they're different, because yeah. But regardless, there's your steering wheel, and then that's the stock for the windshield wiper, and then that's actually your little gear selector stock, which it's It's pretty easy to use, but it's a column shifter, which is different in a car, but Mercedes just does that. Now for the first screen, this is the screen that's going to show you obviously the speedometer and the RPMs and all that. In terms of other information that it basically shows you on the screen, you guys can see that you can pull up this little menu and you can scroll through and different things. Now how you actually scroll through is you just kind of like lightly tap that button right there, and that'll go from menu to menu, so then you can go through the different things. Pretty good. I like how like configurable it is for the center and just like the ease of access for everything just from like the driver's point of view. For the center infotainment system, we'll first look at the backup camera. So this is the camera that pops up. Resolution on it's pretty good. It's beeping at me because I've got the door open. So I'll close the door so it stops beeping at me, but resolution on it is really good. I like the trajectory lines as well. Now for the rest of the infotainment system, it does have a couple controls. So you actually can control it via that control pad, or you can control it just with regular touchscreen function. So the other screen wasn't a touchscreen, whereas this one, you guys can see, is a touchscreen. Response time on it is relatively good. Now the thing that's pretty cool is over here on the comfort side of things, notice that you actually can have massage functioning on the seat, so you can do that. And with the ambient lighting, it's another cool thing. They give you a bunch of different things. So you have the brightness of the ambient lighting, so you can make it super bright if you want, but then you also have like a ton of different colors to choose from. I mean, you guys can see there's just so many different colors, and you can do multicolored animation. There's just a lot you can do with the lighting system. So on the infotainment side of things, it's good. It comes with a lot of features, and that's all. Now I'm showing you guys this area because the vents are all circular in this car, and it's kind of interesting, but it's nice because you can put them wherever you want. Down below that, you actually have the climate controls, which is separate from the infotainment system. And then down below that, you have a little storage area, and then you can connect your phone here, or you get like an old school 12 volt. Couple of cup holders, and then this is the second way you can control the infotainment system, so it's just via this little keypad. Pretty easy to use. Over here you actually have like the volume control, a couple of shortcut buttons, and then that's where you rest your wrist when you are using that little system. Got a little favorite button. This is pretty cool, so you press that, and this is the menu that pops up, so it shows you different bits of driving assistance on it. And then you've got little drive mode select, so you press that, and that'll pop up here in the center. So you can switch between the 4 different drive modes that you guys can read out there, and well, that's all for that. Got the little center console, which, I mean, that pops open. Storage space on it's actually pretty decent, and there's a little USB inside of there. And then above the glove box, it's actually soft touch, and then they have this cool like metal trim, and then they do stitching in the dash. So in terms of like the layout, I actually like it. I think it's a pretty good look. And then you got the glove box, got the window sticker in there. We'll go over that in a moment. Now coming up to the top here, notice that you do have all the light controls up here, and then you do get a sunroof. They call it a panoramic sunroof, but this is a pretty small car, and so you guys can see, I mean, it's not huge, and it kind of ends before it goes all the way to the back, so just kind of take that into account. So here is actually the window sticker for the A220. You guys can freeze a frame on any point if you just want to look at all of the individual options. This comes with standard. Now you do have the optional equipment over in this area, and some of the stuff is interesting, like 580 bucks for heated front seats. I mean, that is, it's expensive for heated front seats. This one does have the AMG package, all that kind of stuff. So you got the base MSRP, and then after all the options, you got the total MSRP, $44,780. Let's take this A220 out and see how it drives. Yeah, let's just have that all exposed and such. Let's talk about visibility here in the A220 before we set off. So visibility over the hood, it's actually pretty easy to see out of that. And then here's your visibility through both of the mirrors. And then here's all throughout the rest of the rear. Visibility isn't the greatest in this car, but you do have a bunch of safety tech, so kind of offsets it. And ooh, let's set off. We are setting off in the 2020 A220. So many 20s in today's video. But first setting off, in terms of my initial impressions on it, it doesn't quite feel like, from like a ride quality perspective, it's not on the like luxury car side of things. It's kind of a little bit rougher than I expected. I mean, you guys can feel as I'm going over things. I mean, it shakes the whole camera. So ride quality, it's okay. In terms of the road noise though, it's pretty well insulated from a road noise perspective. And with the steering here, steering's really light, but in terms of the directness, yeah, I mean, it pretty much goes right where you put it, which is definitely nice for a car like this. Ooh, definitely has a little bit of pep. Right now I am actually in the eco mode. I'm gonna pop it over into the comfort mode. So this is probably what you're gonna drive it in most of the time. I already noticed that once you go into the comfort mode, it just geared down. So obviously it's gonna help out with acceleration if it's gonna stay in a little bit of a lower gear, and we'll kind of see how these brakes do, because the rotors were pretty big for how small this car is. Yeah, braking is solid on this. So now we're gonna pop it into our sport mode to get this acceleration. We're gonna have it in the manual mode. Ooh, those gear shifts are quick. I mean, the acceleration's really good. The power figures aren't like awe-inspiring or anything like that, but the acceleration is definitely solid. It does feel like a 6-second car for sure. Yeah, and this dual clutch is really good. I mean, everyone knows that dual clutches shift at a phenomenally quick rate, so that was kind of expected. Yeah, it's quick. It is really quick. That's surprising. I'm actually impressed with that. Now, it doesn't sound that good, but I mean, at least it's quick. It's got it's got that going for it. Let's actually get into summing things up now with the A220. Now, if you're looking for a fun car, right, this is going to be kind of, I don't know, like the sound is not that great, so maybe an exhaust would definitely help out quite a bit. But if you want something that basically just has a lot of nice technology in it, in terms of like a safety tech side of things, and then also like the screens and all that, so tech-wise it's really solid. But then on top of that, you want something that obviously looks nice. I mean, it's a Mercedes Benz, so you definitely do have that going for you. So if you want all of that kind of stuff, that's where the A220 is going to shine, because I mean, at $40,000, it's a lot of money, but that's cheap for a Mercedes Benz, and so it's actually a good deal. So yeah, and there we have it, everyone, the 2020 Mercedes Benz A220 with the AMG appearance package, I guess. And thanks again to my buddy for lending me the car while he's getting the car lent to him, because his car's in the shop. But regardless, I will see all of you guys in the next video.